Before the world feared her name, Queen Seraphina had been a mere noblewoman from a crumbling house. But behind her soft voice and elegant manners hid a mind sharper than any dagger. She knew that in the royal court, love was rarely real, but power always was. And to survive in a palace infested with snakes, she would become the deadliest serpent of them all. The king, Cashin IV, had ascended the throne young, barely 20, after the mysterious death of his elder brother. Handsome, naive, and hungry to be loved, he was the perfect prey for someone like Seraphina. She met him at a masquerade, clad in black silk and secrets. By the end of the night, she hadn't just stolen his heart, she had planted the first seed of control. Their marriage was celebrated across the kingdom, a union of two powerful houses. But it wasn't love that brought Seraphina to the throne. It was opportunity. Cashin was surrounded by blood, his uncles, cousins, and half-brothers all eyeing the throne. The royal court was nothing more than a hunting ground disguised as marble and gold. But instead of swords, they used whispers. And Seraphina knew how to whisper better than anyone. She began small. At private dinners, she would mention how Lord Marius, Cashin's cousin, had been seen speaking secretly with foreign envoys. In bed, she would express concern that Prince Leoric, the king's younger brother, was building a private army just for protection. Every time Cashin laughed it off, Seraphina didn't push. She knew fear was more potent when it grows slowly. But it was when she discovered the king's childhood trauma that she struck gold. Cashin had always feared betrayal from within. He had watched his own father be poisoned at a feast allegedly by someone close. That paranoia lived deep in his veins. Seraphina only had to feed it drop by drop. She turned her ladies-in-waiting into spies. Every letter that entered the palace passed through her hands. Every guard rotation was carefully monitored. And every private conversation in the garden or hunting lodge was soon accidentally overheard. But she never directly accused anyone. That was her genius. Instead, she framed it as protection. My love, I only worry for your safety. You are too trusting. If anything were to happen to you, who would protect our unborn son? You should be more careful around your uncle. He says things behind your back that no one else dares to repeat. Cashin began isolating himself, one person at a time. His cousin was sent to a distant outpost. His brother's soldiers were disarmed. His aunt was suddenly arrested for witchcraft. No one could trace it back to Seraphina. She remained the soft-voiced queen at his side, the only one who truly cared. The king's paranoia turned into policy. Nobles began to disappear. Trials were replaced by quiet executions. Torture chambers filled beneath the palace, and the people whispered that a shadow had fallen over the crown. Still, the blood hadn't touched the king's inner circle yet. Seraphina knew that to truly own the throne, Cashin needed to destroy the last threat to his rule, his own brother, Prince Leoric. Leoric was everything Cashin wasn't: charismatic, beloved by the army, and suspicious of the queen. He had warned Cashin once. She has a beautiful face, brother. But so did Medusa. That sealed his fate. Seraphina orchestrated a masterstroke. A forged letter, allegedly from Leoric to a rival. With Prince Leoric dead and the royal bloodline reduced to ashes, Queen Seraphina stood beside a king hollowed by guilt and fear, a man once full of fire, now extinguished by his own sword. But that was the plan all along. Seraphina never wanted to be the woman behind the throne. She wanted the throne itself. Cashin was now a puppet and she, the puppeteer. Each decision he made had already passed through her lips the night before. She rewrote court laws under the pretense of royal reforms, but what she was really doing was removing anyone who could challenge her hold. The Council of Lords? Dismantled. The military generals? Replaced with loyalists. The church? Silenced through generous bribes or quiet blackmail. Cashin began appearing less and less in public. Rumors circulated that the king was sick, haunted by ghosts of his murdered kin. But no one dared speak too loudly. Those who did were never seen again. Seraphina had turned the palace into a fortress, both physically and psychologically. No letter left the castle without her seal. No visitor met the king without her approval. The walls themselves seemed to listen, and she was always listening. But even empires built on blood eventually tremble. And Seraphina's first tremor came in the form of a servant girl. Her name was Illyra, a quiet, forgettable face among the queen's many attendants. But Illyra was not what she seemed. She was the illegitimate daughter of one of the nobles Seraphina had destroyed early in her campaign. Raised in the shadows, trained by enemies of the crown, and placed into the palace as a silent observer. Her mission, to get close to the queen and uncover her secrets. For months, Illyra played her part perfectly. She scrubbed floors, fetched perfumes, braided Seraphina's hair. She listened to every whisper, studied every letter, memorized every poison in the queen's private cabinet. And what she found was terrifying. Seraphina was not just manipulating the king, she was planning for his end. Illyra discovered coded messages being sent through innocent-sounding letters to foreign courts. Hidden symbols carved into the marble floors that aligned with ancient assassination rites. And worst of all, a hidden room beneath the queen's chamber, where a new will lay freshly signed, naming Seraphina as regent for the unborn heir even though the queen was not pregnant. Not yet. Illyra realized the queen's plan: poison Cashin, feign pregnancy, and rule as the child's regent. If no child came, she'd claim it was a stillbirth. By then, no one would be able to challenge her. She would become the first true empress in the kingdom's history, ruling with neither husband nor heir. But Illyra made one mistake. One night, while sneaking into the hidden room, she triggered a silent alarm, one of Seraphina's many precautions. Within moments, masked guards grabbed her, and she was brought before the queen. Seraphina didn't scream. She didn't strike. She simply studied the girl and smiled. "So, even ghosts of the dead try to rise," she said softly. "But they always forget I buried them for a reason." Illyra was thrown into the dungeon, tortured for days. But even under pain, she didn't speak a word. Seraphina knew that silence meant loyalty to a cause greater than fear. This shook the queen more than she admitted. If one girl could infiltrate her palace, others could too. And if Cashin ever discovered the truth about her lies, the forged letters, the poisoned politics, the manipulated murders, her entire empire could crumble. So she made a bold move. She didn't kill Illyra. Instead, she brought her back to her chambers, cleaned her wounds, and offered her a seat. "I admire you," Seraphina whispered. "I could use someone like you." Illyra said nothing, but her eyes narrowed. A choice stood before her: accept the offer and live, or refuse and die.